I'm Bryce,
And I'm Conan.
and welcome to our presentation. Today we will be talking to you about Mary MacKillop.
Mary MacKillop was born in Melbourne in 1842 on January the 14th of Scottish parents, Alexander MacKillop and Flora MacDonald.
Although she decided to continue to be known as Mary, when she was baptized 6 weeks later, she received the names Maria Ellen.
Mary was the eldest of 8 children. Her younger siblings were Margaret, Donald, Alec, John, Annie, Alexandra, and Peter.
Mary was educated at private schools, but also by her father. She received her first Holy Communion on August the 15th, 1850, at the age of 9.
Mary started working at the age of 14 as a clerk in a general stationery store in Melbourne to provide her family with the things they couldn't afford on just their parents' wage.
In 1860 she took a job as governess, where she would look after children and teach them, in future to bring her to meet Father Wood.
Mary stayed for 2 more years until she was accepted a job at teaching the children of Portland, Victoria in 1862.
Father Woods was very concerned in the lack of Catholic education in Australian schools, so he invited Mary and her sisters Lexi and Annie to come down to Penola to start a Catholic school.
After touch-ups to the school by her brother, Mary began teaching more than 50 children at this time. Mary made her dedication to God by wearing black.
In an attempt to provide education to the poor, generally in rural areas. By the end of 1869, more than 70 members of the Sisters of Joseph were educating children at 21 schools in Adelaide and other countries.
In December 1869, MacKillop and several other sisters travelled to Brisbane to establish the order in Queensland. They were mostly based in Kangaroo Point, but took a ferry across to Brisbane.
By 1871, 130 sisters were working in more than 40 schools and charitable institutions across South Australia and Queensland.
It had been spread that MacKillop had a drinking problem. In fact, it was known widely that she drank alcohol on doctors' orders to relieve the symptoms of dysmenorrhea.
There was no evidence to support these allegations due to the research of Rev. Paul Gardner.
In early 1870s, MacKillop and her Sisters of Joseph heard the accusations that Keating of Kapunda Parish to Adelaide's north had been sexually abusing children.
Mary informed Father Woods, who in turn informed Father John Smith, who ultimately sent Keating back to Ireland. The reason for Keating's illegal doings was publicly thought to be alcohol abuse.
Father Charles Horan was angered mostly by Keating's removal. There is evidence to suggest he wanted to seek revenge against Woods, so he sought after the Joseph sisters.
Horan became acting Vicar General after the death of Smith in June 1870, and from this position sought to influence Bishop Seal. Horan met with Seal on 21st of September 1871 and convinced him that the Joseph Sisters' constitution should be changed.
The following day, when Mary apparently did not accede to request, Seal excommunicated her. Most of Mary's schools were closed in the wake of this action.
On his deathbed, Seal instructed Horan to lift the excommunication of Mary MacKillop.
After this strain of unfortunate events, MacKillop prepared to leave for Rome to have the rural life of the Joseph sisters approved.
MacKillop travelled to Rome in 1873 to seek proper approval of the Sisters of Joseph and their religious congregation, and was encouraged to do so by Pope Pius.
The authorities changed how the Joseph sisters lived in regard to their commitment to poverty. MacKillop was assured that her rule of life would receive complete approval after a trial period.
Before Wood's death on 7th of October 1889, he and MacKillop were personally reconciled while in Rome. While in Rome, Mary travelled widely and to observe different educational methods.
During this period, the Joseph sisters expanded their operation into New South Wales and New Zealand.
When MacKillop returned to Australia in January 1875, after being gone for almost 2 years, she brought good news for her sisters. She had got the approval for their rule of life, as well as materials for her school, books for the library, and 15 new sisters of Joseph from Ireland.
After the appointment of Roger Vaughan as Archbishop of Sydney in 1877, life became much easier for MacKillop and her sisters until his death in 1882.
Pope Leo gave official approval in 1885, with, with its headquarters in Sydney.
Mary MacKillop died on the 8th of August 1909 at Josephite Convent in North Sydney. She was laid to rest at Gore Hill Cemetery. After MacKillop's burial, people began building around it. Due to this, her remains were exhumed and transferred on 27th of January 1914 to a vault in front of the altar of Virgin Mary.